Hello everyone, welcome to Dark Horror Anecdotes. Enjoy. I had just finished up a long day at work and was walking home in the dark. It was late, and I was tired, but I didn't want to spend any more money on a cab. I wrapped my coat tightly around me and pulled up my hood to shield my face from the rain. As I walked, the streetlights flickered above me, casting eerie shadows on the sidewalk. I tried to shake off the feeling of being watched, but it only grew stronger. I turned around, but there was no one there, just an empty street. I took a deep breath and kept walking, trying to ignore the knot in my stomach, but then I heard footsteps behind me. At first, I thought it was just my imagination playing tricks on me, but the sound grew louder with each passing moment. I quickened my pace, but the footsteps only grew faster. I turned around again, but this time, I saw a figure in the distance. It was a woman dressed in all black with a hood covering her face. She was walking towards me, but her steps were slow and deliberate. This freaked me out and I didn't know what to do. Should I confront her? "Don't be afraid," she said in a soft voice. "I just want to talk to you." Her voice was calm and soothing, but it only made me more afraid. I tried to back away, but she grabbed my arm and held me in place. "I've been watching you," she said, her voice growing more urgent. "I know everything about you. Your likes, your dislikes, your fears, your secrets. I've been following you on social media." I was honestly terrified. How did she know all this about me? Had she been stalking me online too? She continued to speak. Her words were like daggers. "You think you're so smart, so successful. You're nothing. You're just a pawn in my game." I tried to pull away, but she held me in a tight grip. I could feel her breath on my face. It was hot and smelled like cigarettes. She leaned in closer and whispered in my ear, "You're mine now, and there's nothing you can do about it." After that, she let go of me and disappeared into the darkness. I was left standing there alone and afraid. I could feel the panic rising in my chest as I realized that she was right. She knew everything about me, and there was no escaping her. When I got home, my phone started buzzing. It was blowing up from notifications from social media. I opened my account to find hundreds of messages from an anonymous user. They were all taunting messages, threatening me and revealing my deepest secrets for the world to see. I tried to block the user, but they kept creating new accounts and sending more messages. I felt like I was being suffocated by their relentless barrage of hate and fear. Days turned into weeks, and the messages kept coming. I was too afraid to leave my house, too afraid to face the world. I had become a prisoner in my own home with no way out. I don't know who that woman was or what her motives were, but I know that she ruined my life. She took away my sense of security, my sense of self, and even now, years later, I still feel her presence in the dark corners of my mind. This is a story that's hard for me to share, but it's also something I desperately need to get off of my chest. It's a story about learning the true meaning of deception and being naive, a story of destruction and of rebirth. It all started about 3 or 4 years ago, when I'd been working at my first job for about 2 years. That was the year that I would meet the 2 men that changed my life forever. One for the better and one for the worse. The restaurant I worked at had been bought out by a big company, so there was a big overhaul in staff and everything else. A whole new set of managers and some new waitstaff as well. One of these men would become my boyfriend 3 years later, and we're still very much in love now. And the other, well, let's just call him Mr. Nightmare, because I can't even think of his name without getting upset. Mr. Nightmare started as a manager at that time. I never took much note of him, though. He was pretty nice and seemed funny. I worked there for a while, getting closer as a friend to my current boyfriend. I then left that job for a good 6 months before returning to it. At this point, most of the staff had changed because of a high turnover, and I only knew about 3 of the workers there, one of which was Mr. Nightmare. Fast forward to about 1 year later, where he and I are okay friends and I'm well into dating my boyfriend. He starts giving me compliments and love-bombing me. He would constantly find my vulnerabilities and try to make them better. He always tried to buy me things and get me to work more hours with him. I learned many things about him during this time, though. For one, I started to notice that he was very unstable. The dots started to connect, and I remembered how many fights he'd gotten into, in his defense, or for the restaurant. I stared, thinking about his weapon collection, and how off his voice was when he said, "I had you picked out from the moment I met you." In my biggest moment of weakness, when I felt ugly and vulnerable, he made me feel pretty, and I made what I believed to be the biggest mistake in my entire life. I listened to him. I sent him pictures that could destroy my relationship. I was naive in believing in all the ways he related to me. He was just a great liar. He even joked with me about his masks and his 9 other personalities. Like, what the heck? Just thinking about it makes me want to go back and slap myself for not putting it all together faster. I was so naive. The crazed look in his eyes, his breakdowns. So many red flags that I didn't see. He just knew how to manipulate me and the people around me. None of it even hit me until about a week after I quit that place. It was this one night, out of the blue, when he started messaging me. Things started escalating because I had told him there would never be anything between us the last time I'd seen him. He starts ranting about justice and how he could see through me and my lies. He said I needed to tell my boyfriend about us, or he would. I told him there wasn't an us and that it wasn't his business, but he kept insisting that he loved me and that we needed to be together. He couldn't take no for an answer, even though he kept asking and asking for me to tell him it was over. I told him, and he couldn't take it. He kept calling me a crazy bitch and trying to gaslight me. I'm thankful that I was strong enough not to believe him and to completely cut him off from my life. But then, things got worse. He started talking in third person, calling himself Jack the Ripper, saying he was going to find me and find my boyfriend. Now I started panicking. I was in my room crying and throwing up all while trying to deal with this. I asked him what he wanted, and all he said back was, "You." I've never felt that kind of fear before in my entire life. I started thinking about how much I love my boyfriend. My amazing, perfect boyfriend who has been with me through everything, and I calmed down. That's when I went to my boyfriend's room, sat him down, and told him everything. We talked, and he ended up forgiving me for talking to that creep, Mr. Nightmare, behind his back. I won't lie, though. It hurt, and I still haven't completely forgiven myself for hurting my boyfriend that way. But I'm hoping one day I will. I messaged Mr. Nightmare and told him I already told my boyfriend, and that he didn't have any more power over me. He then started grasping at straws and threatening my other job where I work with children. He even started threatening to delete my PlayStation account. I mean, he was insane. I called him by his name while he was talking in other personalities, and he told me to call him Jack or there would be consequences. I had enough of this guy. I blocked him on everything, deleted my Facebook, and disconnected myself from everyone who works there and spent an entire day speaking to the police and the principal at my job. While talking to the police, they told me that soon he'd find someone new to target, so I could rest easy. But that didn't make me feel better or at ease. I still felt sick to my stomach because even if he's not fixated on me, that doesn't mean some other poor girl deserves to be treated that way by him. That experience with the police changed me, though. What do you do when someone says you have to be with them or they'll kill you and the person you love? I didn't know, and I still don't. I still have nightmares. That Friday, while I was driving home from work, I got pulled over because an anonymous person called in, describing my car and license plate saying I was drunk and on drugs. I wonder who that was. I calmly explained to the officer that I was coming home from work and gave him my case number. I got about 8 calls a day from different random numbers for about 3 days after. Months later, after so much therapy and work, I saw him twice one day. I know his car, so I pretty much get anxious whenever I see the color or make of that car anywhere. One day, my worst fear happened. I was just on my way to a doctor's appointment and my turn was literally one light up. I pull up to a car that is way too familiar to me, and I notice that there is no way for me to escape. He knows my car. My windows aren't well tinted. I see the shadow of his hair move and I know it's him, and my stomach rolls. I pull out my phone and call my mom, shaking so bad I had to redial twice. I ended up making 5 different turns to get to the doctor instead of 1, and I parked my car in a hidden spot. I was very proud of how calm I was when I walked in for my appointment. It was very hard for me. Fast forward a bit, and after my appointment, I met with my best friend and we ended up going to walk her adorable dogs around her house. This guy must have been following me and knew where we were because after I parked my car at my friend's house, I see familiar movement from the corner of my eye. I seriously went cold and numb, and my anxiety was through the roof. I see him walking and start to cross the street to the side where we are at. I didn't even say anything. I just dragged the dogs around the corner and kept turning and going until I felt safe. When I explained to my friend what happened, she helped me calm down. And honestly, I'm just very thankful she was there. Only God knows what would have happened if I was alone. It scares me and gives me chills every time I think about it. I am now writing this 7 months later. I'm still undergoing therapy from this, that's how bad it affected me, but I have started to do something very important. I've been reclaiming my space and my mind. I have slowly started to reach out to old co-workers from that restaurant. And I even went outside of the restaurant to say hi to managers and servers I used to know. I found out the next day through my good friend who works there that he said he was uncomfortable with me being there. I laughed. I genuinely laughed really hard. And then I went back for the next 3 days to pick my friend up from there. Just to make a point. I haven't been strong enough to go inside yet, though. So many of my nightmares come from that place. I can smell it. I can hear the glasses clinking and it makes me shake. There's a certain shade of blue he wears, and if I see it, it makes me shake. In every dream I have, that color is always lurking in the background. I always feel his presence, or maybe I'm just a little paranoid. There is a big festival that includes that restaurant every year. It's so much fun, and it would be the first year I could go in 4 years because I always worked it. My friend invited me to go, and I was hesitant at first because this is somewhere I knew he would be. But I went anyway. And sure enough, when we passed the restaurant, there he was, wearing that same blue shirt. And instead of seeing him from the corner of my eye like I had in my dream, I looked him in the face. I got so angry and was just insanely pissed off. And honestly, pretty anxious too. I just kept walking and forced myself out of the funk. This is a pretty messed up story with so many details that I'm not sure how to structure it. But I'll do my best. I used to live in Stockholm, Sweden, where I attended high school and met my then boyfriend, Jack. I was very active on social media back then. I had MySpace back when it was a thing before Facebook. I used my MySpace page to link to my blog to show makeup, hairstyles, etc. For those who don't know what MySpace was, it was basically Facebook but with fewer features. Back in the day, I had a pretty large following on that site, but the site had its downsides, particularly the nasty sexual messages you could get quite often. It all started when I got a notification of a friend request from this person, who I'll call Robin. I wasn't really clear on the gender of this person just yet, because they had a little puppy as their profile picture. But just when I was about to assume it was a female, they told me they were a guy. He was oddly very nice and friendly. At the time, I honestly felt like he genuinely liked me and cared about getting to know me. Robin said that he was 23 at the time and was from the United States, but that he had Swedish relatives. I thought that was pretty dope, and we would chat a few times a month. I also loved to sing, and I uploaded covers to YouTube. Robin would be so excited when I released new covers and complimented me. It really made me feel great, like I was validated. It was so nice to have an online friend who seemed truly happy for me. However, this behavior started to become too much sometimes. I don't know, something just felt wrong. Fast forward about a week, then came the red flags that went over my head at the time. Robin sent me a drawing. He said it was a portrait of me. It was a girl with animal ears, making a cute pose with her hand. She had piercing green eyes and whiskers. He said it was me, but mixed with a cat, my favorite animal. What? I was actually beyond impressed. It was so cute, and I was flattered that someone would draw me. But that excitement quickly turned to ash in my mouth one night. This is where it all started for real, where the red flags really should have gone up. I play League of Legends, and one of my favorite champions back then was Ahri, especially in her foxfire skin. I was scrolling through Safari on my phone to find a wallpaper of her to have on my phone, and then I see the picture. The fan art Robin made, only that the eyes were now yellow, like Ahri's. I clicked the picture and it linked me to a DeviantArt account. The caption was something like, "Casual cute foxfire Ahri," and it was posted 3 years ago. What the heck? I wrote to Robin and told him how upset I was that he stole a drawing from an artist, edited the colors a bit, and claimed to have worked hard, making it himself. I explained to him how awful it is to take someone else's work and say that you made it yourself. He said he was ashamed and sorry, and said he only wanted to impress me and make me smile. I couldn't stay mad at him for long, but I was wary now. It had been a while since I had posted a cover, and Robin made sure as hell I knew it had been a while. He would nag and plead with me to make another one, to the point that I told him to back the hell off. I posted a cover a few weeks later, though. I broke up with Jack, my boyfriend at the time. We went our different ways, and it was fine with me. Robin, on the other hand, was not. He couldn't, for the sake of humanity, grasp why we had broken up and pleaded yet again. But this time it was a pleading for me to get back together with my boyfriend. I tolerated this at first because, to most people, me and Jack seemed perfectly happy together. I got really upset with Robin, though, because after a few days on end, he would ask if me and Jack were getting back together, and I just finished explaining to him that Jack was unfaithful. Jack would see other girls, flirt with them, and so on. The response I got from Robin was, "Oh, but you can't forgive him? Not gonna give him another chance?" At this point, I was done. I told him to leave me the hell alone, and he did. One night, I was scrolling on the internet and thought that I wanted to listen to others doing the same cover that I did. I started scrolling through the list and I see my face on a thumbnail with the caption, "Song name, cover by me." But this was not my video though, not my YouTube account either. My heart skipped a beat. I felt myself grow cold. I clicked and the audio started playing. It was my voice, my picture, but not my name. What in the world? I clicked the profile and the coldness intensified. The videos dated back 2 whole years. The account said that her name was Jenny, and that she was the one singing, producing the music. Hell, even going as far as taking videos of my relatives and saying it was her family. I was confused, scared, and angry. Who the heck would do something like this? Well, I got my answer with the most twisted thing I've experienced online. In the comments to the videos were comments from Robin's account. I should have known. In the comment section, Robin said, "Thanks so much, Jenny, for dedicating this song to me." Jenny responded by saying, "Oh, no problem, Robin. I made it all for you." Either I had 2 stalkers, or this person had made up 2 characters and was talking to him or herself through the comments. Now I don't even know if it was actually a guy this whole time. This freaked me out big time. Super weird. I wrote to all my friends whose content was stolen, wrote to my ex and my new boyfriend, who is now my fiancé, and told them to help me shut this thing down. The account was shut down within 20 hours. Thank God. I followed up by blocking all accounts linked to Robin, including the Jenny accounts. I locked all social medias and removed everyone I didn't know in real life. I even Google image reversed all my profile pictures and nothing came up. I was paranoid for about a year after this. I didn't trust anyone I didn't know in real life. Robin made new accounts to follow me, which I blocked. I have an official Instagram for work and such, which he or she could be looking at. But it is something I've now just accepted will happen, and that I shouldn't live in internet fear because of one person. Just a month ago, I logged into Tumblr because I wanted to see if I had some memes stashed there somewhere. Yeah, I know, cringe. I then checked the blocked accounts section. Only one person was blocked. Guess who? Robin had changed the Tumblr blog from his or her Robin fakery to something new, something personal. The blog was filled with angst, just like all other Tumblrs, but this one was filled with self-hatred posts, extremism, racism, and long posts written in Swedish. This was the first time it hit me. This person was also Swedish. I told my best friend to go through the blog to see if her FBI skills could sniff something out. And she did. I'll combine all the evidence that her and I know so far. From what we know, the stalker was probably born in the year 1989, and he or she lives in the same part of the city as my parents, where I lived before. Gender, well, not sure about that yet, it seems to depend. The stalker couldn't go to high school with me, but must have known me through something else. Mutual friends or something maybe. He or she stole my content for years and pretended to be my friend to get more content, and is probably still checking in on me to this day. My best guess is that it was a girl who wanted to be me, have my life and my boyfriend. When I stopped creating new content and broke up with Jack, her whole made-up world started to fall apart. Robin, if you somehow come across this and read this story, I hope you'll find acceptance and happiness in yourself, because it is no life living it through someone else. Go in peace. To this day, I still have no clue who Robin is.